Joel Adams, and my job here for the Kalispell Tribe is I'm the Fuels Management Specialist. The Kalispell Natural Resource Department is made up of, we kind of call it the wet side and the dry side. So the dry side is the wildlife, the forestry, and the wet side is, of course, our fisheries. My job as the Fuels Management Specialist is, in a sense, you talk about all these fuels we have out in the woods, like our trees. We'll have to strip the branches off those trees to be marketed to the local lumber mill. That creates biomass. So we have to get rid of that biomass, either by burning piles, or we may do broadcast burns. So a normal day of work for myself, interacting with the other parts of our forestry department, the guys that are actually working with the contractors doing the fuels reduction work. So to work towards being a fuels management specialist, we're gonna have to initially take some classes, get your foot in the door as a firefighter. When I went to college, it was a no-brainer. I went straight into natural resources and started engulfing myself into fisheries classes, forestry classes, wildlife classes. Jobs in the natural resources are always available. What's rewarding about the work that I do is that I get to interact with the younger generations and getting them excited about a career in fire and a career in natural resources.
Learn more about careers and career paths at careerexplorenw.org.
My name is Bart George. I'm the Wildlife Program Manager for the Kalispell Tribe. Wildlife biologists have to identify the life needs of different species and figure out what's missing in those habitats. Part of the habitat management has to do with tree planting, invasive species control. We need to know what animals are on the landscape and in what densities. So I've always had an interest in cougars. There's cougars out on the landscape. We have trained tracking dogs. They follow the cougar's scent. They're outfit with GPS collars, so we know where the dogs are at, and they follow the cat's scent until hopefully they chase it up a tree. Once the cat's in a tree, our capture crew shows up. We deliver a dart that anesthetizes the cougar. Cat falls out of the tree and we capture in a net, just like what you would see the firefighters use. Technology is definitely a huge part of this job. Our drones have FLIR and LiDAR. We're using them to gather habitat data. To be a professional wildlife biologist, you have to have a minimum of a bachelor's degree. This is a difficult field to break into, volunteer, and find opportunities to get engaged locally. There's so many directions you can go with wildlife biology. There's specialists all the way down to the species level, and then we have a broader wildlife manager that's looking at the kind of the whole umbrella. The beauty of this position is that you're doing something different almost every day. I love the work that I do. I care about the species that we're working on, and I care about the habitats that they live in.
Learn more about careers and career paths at careerexplorenw.org.
Indian Creek is one of the best classrooms that we have. Our children get exposed to hands-on experience. It's being on the land. It's feeling that connection. We're actually able to stand in the same place as our ancestors did and share their teachings.
So today we had a field day. Well, we have them pretty regularly, where we have our school-age kids come out from our early learning center on the Kalispell Reservation, and we introduce them to different natural resource topics. Today was fishing and archery. We have a archery certified instructor. We let them shoot bows, and then we take them up to our fish pond, and they were able to get some practice fishing and then come down and gut their fish and bag it up, take it home so they can cook it for dinner tonight. The Kalispell tribe struggles with food security. It's not that, they struggle to get to the grocery store so much, but they struggle with their native food and what's available to them currently. The Pend Oreille River is pretty highly impacted by hydropower. So the habitat that's left is pretty warm water. Things like our fish pond and our fish hatchery are designed specifically to create some clean fish protein instead of PCB-laden fish proteins from the river.
The changes I've seen in the area since the Kalispel tribe has started to manage this site are basically a move towards valuing the nature, the wildness of it. Before the tribe purchased it, it was going to be a trailer park, and there would be a whole lot of people here and a lot of development. And so this has preserved that wildness in an area that's close enough to town for people to get to and to learn about the forest.
We have our own native plant nursery here at the Indian Creek Community Forest. We developed that back in 2012, really at the onset of the community forest planning process. So we grow all of our own restoration plants for our wetland and riparian projects. Our active floodplain restoration and wetland restoration projects are really focused at protecting and enhancing the camas production. And camas is the principal starch food for Kalispel people in the valley traditionally. Our culture department is vast in what it does, and so what we do in natural resources is try to intersect that resurgent of knowledge and knowledge transfer to natural resources and try to build back skill sets that may have been lost just through attrition over time.
I think it was maybe back in 2018 or so when I read that Indian Creek Community Forest was a brand new establishment by the Kalispel tribe of Indians. They were starting up this community forest by asking for input from the community on how it should be managed. That's one of the things that is so impressive about the Kalispel tribe is they are community oriented. They set up some public meetings where people from all over the county came and gave ideas about how it should be managed. For the Kalispel tribe, their emphasis seems to be on education of the public.
What I have seen from the Kalispel tribes is just an incredible openness to work with the community and to develop connections with people in the community to work together on projects. It's really amazing. I tell people that our local Native American tribe up here is this open and this outgoing, and they're just absolutely amazed.
What we saw today was a small step towards reconnecting Kalispel tribal membership with the resources that they have depended on since time immemorial. A rising tide lifts all boats. And so if it's good for the Kalispel tribal community, and it's probably going to be good for the rest of the community, and that value just is pervasive through everything we do.
Everything that we have ever needed is right here. It's right outside. It's on the land. So the important work that they do at Indian Creek is vital to educating our children and our people about how important it is to restore the land, to preserve it for not only us, but for all of the generations to come.
My name is Tara McLaughlin. I'm an archaeologist 1. I work as a cultural resource management on the Kalispel Natural Resources Department. The job of the cultural resource management program is to connect the Kalispel with their historic ancestors, and so we have a link between past and present. As archaeologists, we find materials which include like charcoal lenses, depressions, and other artifacts that we then analyze and determine how old and how we can determine how the Kalispel used to use this landscape. I like the discovery of finding new things and presenting that to other people and then collaborating with researchers on how we can discover more things and how to connect that to the Kalispell people and how we can share that with the world. There's different avenues that you can take, but with archaeology, you can go into lab analysis, curation, you can do maritime archaeology, classical archaeology. There's just a plethora of options available to you. There's a big demand for archaeology. You need us for every construction job. If you think about the dams in this general area, all of this water fluctuation starts to erode sites that are in the embankment, and they need us to come and ensure that nothing is being eroded completely away. I took lots of great strides to get to where I am currently, but I couldn't ask for a better job.
Learn more about careers and career paths at careerexplorenw.org.
My name is Raymond Osley. I am a fisheries biologist for the Kalispell tribe. Overall, my position, I work with bull trout in fish passage below Albany Falls Dam here in Old Town. And my main job is just to go out, as the temperature's cold enough, to go out there and shock form at night, and whatever I capture to put above the dam so that those fish can get back to a recovery area that's cold enough so they can live. A fish biologist is one that thrives on loving the outdoors and being able to protect, restore, and manage fish populations within a general area. There is a certain level of education you do need for becoming a fish biologist. You gotta attend a 4-year school, university, and get a general background of biology and leading toward fish management or wildlife or just general biology. I think the most rewarding thing that I get to experience is that the future generations one day will be able to look back and see the work that we've done and say, if it wasn't for that, we probably wouldn't have this fisheries anymore. The more that you educate yourself in fisheries, the better the interest will spark, and that's really important for everybody.
Learn more about careers and career paths at careerexplorenw.org.
My wife and I have lived on the Priest River since 2007, but we originally bought the property in 1980. We used that as our oasis, our retreat. We've enjoyed the Priest River, floating it, swimming in it, fishing for the last 42 years. My son and daughter grew up with me and my wife recreating on the river, and a big part of that has been fishing. Starting in 1980, I can remember a much more robust fishery. The cutthroat fishery, bull trout, brown trout, brook trout, I've seen the numbers of fish decline every year, and especially in the last 10 years. Because of the hotter summers. And this 2015, 2021 were what I call the killer summers. Especially in 2021 in July, that first weekend in July, that fish kill was tremendous. And it was heartbreaking to see hundreds of fish. The mortality was heartbreaking.
Fish kill that occurred in 2021 wasn't really a huge surprise relative to the Priest River. Trout are cold water fish. Priest River's warmer than most of our rivers. It comes from the outflow of Priest Lake, and that's surface water off the lake. And surface water in lakes all over the region warm up throughout the summertime, and it's not a surprise that they got trapped in a hot water spot that they might not otherwise be in, and it led to a fish kill. So we're on the Priest River, late August, and the water temperature today is about 72 degrees. That's pretty warm for trout, a cold water fish that relies on nice cold water. Oh, water temperature coming out of Big Creek's about 56 degrees. That's 16 degrees cooler than the main stem of the Priest River today, and that makes a big difference for trout. Fish can withstand short-term temperature changes, even 70 degrees and beyond, but it's those extended long-term water temperatures that are elevated that really make it challenging to support fish populations in a place like the Priest River. Densities of cold water fish in the Priest River relative to other streams in the region of a similar size are much, much lower. So, for example, the very lowest part of the Coeur d'Alene River, that's good trout habitat, probably has close to 30 times more West Slope cutthroat trout than the Priest River. That's a big difference.
The tribe's been working on the Priest River for a number of years, looking at cutthroat populations in the tributaries that feed to the main stem Priest River. The Priest River has always been really important to the tribe. It's got all the ingredients of being a really good trout fishery. It could have a real economic boon to the area. Got the ingredients, and it's just got, I just think it's got a lot of potential.
I can remember the river as something that was more or less a blessing for all of us. I stand here today and I say this is my problem because I'm a Kalispel. This is my Aboriginal land. This is my Aboriginal waterway. My heart tells me that something is happening, something is moving, something is going to happen to better our waters.
The Priest River is a valuable natural resource. It's a cold water fishery habitat, and it's a very, very good habitat. Everything is there except for the water temperature.